Welcome back. This is the last mission for now in the Barrier system, where having captured the jump point from the Kilrathi, we now have to defend it against a counter-attack. This means it's a bit different to most of the missions in that this is the only nav point. We'll be staying here at the jump point while 7 waves of Kilrathi ships come at us. Each of them contains 3 ships. They're almost all fighters, there's only 1 corvette, so it's entirely a straight dogfight. And it's absolutely nothing you haven't seen before, and by extension nothing I haven't talked about before. So I thought I'd do something a bit different with the commentary, namely, in honour of the fact that we are guarding a jump point to Kilrar here, I thought it might be interesting to see how the last Confederation ship to get Kilrar got on. Or perhaps I'm just saying this because you landed me with a Hellcat, and certain sections of End Run are amusingly terrible. I'm not inflicting the worst bits on you, yet. If I'm given the Hellcat again, we may have to think about that. But in this section, the Terror, which is an escort carrier similar to Standoff's Vereka, which is the star of the show in End Run, has reached Kilrar, dropped a marine contingent on a major Kilrathi shipyard, and is getting ready to leave because they've realised that a Kilrathi carrier has jumped into the system. For those of you playing along at home, this is the start of Chapter 9, and the reason I've chosen this part is to give you an idea of both the best and the worst. So here goes.
Damn it all, get that screen back up!
Jason shouted, bracing himself against the bulkhead wall as Tarawa banked into a sharp turn. A hit to the bridge had damaged the inertial dampening system, which ensured that the artificial gravity field inside the ship reacted simultaneously with the hull of the vessel as it manoeuvred and turned. Though the delay was marginal, less than 1,000th of a second, it made all manoeuvres noticeable, slamming the crew back and forth as the ship went through evasive action. It was inevitable for fighters given their size, but a carrier wasn't built to take it. The screen before him snapped back to life, showing a wavery image of Grierson.
What kind of truck are you getting?
Jason asked.
The enemy carrier is closing in at flank speed with a spread of 2 cruisers and 4 destroyers forward and 2 corvettes to the flank. Will arrive in 27 minutes. We have a second wave of inbound fighters as well, 50 plus.
Jason groaned and looked over at his ready board. He had 7 rapiers, 6 sabres and 8 ferrets left that were still flyable, not counting his own rapier. 2/3 of them were dry on missiles and would have to be recalled and turned back around in time to meet the next attack.
How is damage control?
Grierson asked.
Still without any long-range scans, so you'll be our eyes, Intrepid. We've established a ring of airlocks around the hull rapture. Shield generation is still down, engine room is still cut off, but we've managed to patch a radio link into them. Our inertial dampening is out of phase and we're not sure on the jump engine. The jump control officer is dead. The non-com officer says it'll be hours before he can be sure we're up and running in that department. The entire bridge is out, along with the infirmary and forward crew base. We lost 1/5 of our crew, nearly 100 dead, 40 wounded.
You're still lucky to be afloat, Captain. We picked up 2 marine crews on the surface before lifting back off. We lost 1 trying to lift off and another is damaged on the ground, its crew shifting to another landing craft. 2 marine landing craft will externally dock with us within the next 10 minutes and we're dumping the landing craft. Merritt's ordering the surviving 3 landing craft up now.
Kagimasha,
Yeah, Commander. The ship's captain was in the view screen, a bandage covering one eye.
how are you?
A bit scorched. Shielding is down to 32%, but engines are back online.
We're swinging for a rendezvous. You 2 cover us.
Grierson grinned,
That's my job.
and the screen blanked. Jason looked over at his new combat information officer, who was sitting in front of a portable hollow screen which was now tapped into the ship's main computer. The launch control office overlooking the flight deck was now standing double duty, with helm, combat information, communications, weapons control and damage control wedged into the room, their portable gear plugged into the main system through a maze of fibre optic wiring. All combat ships were outfitted with a reserve bridge in case of a hit like the one Tarawa had just taken, but as a converted transport that fallback system had never been installed. Without the supply of portable hollow screens, which were usually on board a ship for briefings and entertainment, they would be totally blind now. Jason looked around the room, promising himself that if they ever got back he would certainly raise one hell of a stink considering this oversight, and even as he thought about it he had to laugh at the irony of even worrying about such things at a time like this.
Signal Doomsday and Starlight to bring the birds in for rearming. They've got 10 minutes, so make it smart.
Aye, sir. Jason walked over to the plaster shield which provided a view of the launch deck. The first Sabre, Doomsdays, came in fast, touching down at the end of the launch ramp. Ground crews raced over to the ship, running alongside of it as the tractor pulled it off the ramp. Crews pushing missiles on small null-gravity trailers ran up to the ship, locking them into the external pylon, while hoses were snaked into the ship's fuel tank and cables latched in to top off the ship's energy supply. Doomsday climbed out of the cockpit, waving for his co-pilot to stay, and ran to the control center. He came through the door and looked at Jason appraisingly. "So you've got the helm now?" Jason nodded. "How's she holding up?"
Patching it together. The one more blow like that and she'll split.
"We'll keep them off your back, but for heaven's sake, man, we've got to turn and get the hell out now, or they'll block the jump point."
Merritt wants 5 more minutes. They've got mines strapped into 5 carriers in their construction base ready to go, along with the cruiser assembly building. He's rigging the last carrier and construction base right now.
"Damn it, Jason, we're going to go up with them if we hang around.
5 minutes.
We've replaced a coward with a gung-ho maniac. Just great." But he slowly started to grin. More ships came in, and Jason watched the landing, nodding in agreement when the deck officer marked 2 of the fighters off as unfit to fly had been pulled to the far corner of the hangar where repair crews swarmed over them. A ferret with a wing completely sheared off came in, trailing a tangle of wires which hooked into the side of the airlock, spinning the craft around. Jason groaned as the ship broke apart, parts spraying down the deck. The deck officer leaped from the command room, racing across the deck, screaming to crew members to manhandle the wreckage out of the way, and within a minute the next fighter came in, slipping within inches of the ferret's shattered cockpit where an emergency rescue crew was hosing the ruins down with fire retardant and pulling the unconscious pilot out. The last ship landed and Doomsday returned to his craft, ready for launch. Jason punched up his ship intercom.
"All hands,
And he hesitated for a moment.
this is the captain speaking. Intrepid reports inbound fighters, 50 plus, less than 15 minutes away and closing. 9 capital ships are 5 minutes behind them. 2 Fraltra cruisers, 4 Ralatha destroyers, 2 corvettes and 1 heavy carrier. We should run for it right now, but there are still 4 platoons of Marines down on that moon getting set to blow half a dozen damn carriers, and Lord knows what other equipment from here to hell where it belongs. We are giving these people 5 more minutes because this ship does not leave its people behind. Engine room, get ready to pour on the fire when I give the word. Keep up the good work, people, and the Empire will learn to cover its butt and crawl away when they hear the name Tarawa.
Flicked off the intercom and suddenly felt foolish for having delivered what he felt was a hackneyed speech. From the corner of his eye, he saw that his matey bridge staff were grinning and nodding their heads with approval. Embarrassed, he turned away to watch the forward monitor screen, which was filled with an image of the moon.
Merritt, you with me? Copy that, Tarawa. We are lifting off now. Starlight, are you on them for air support?
4 ferrets and 1 fighter lined up above them.
Alpha and Bravo craft will be up first. Charlie landing craft under Major Svetlana Ivanova will follow us out. We've had some unexpected resistance down here trying to get out. Major?
Jason asked.
Hell, we're all getting battlefield promotions out here today.
It said.
Figured I'd toss around a couple as well. Company C's top hand is down, knocked out. She's got the job now.
Even as he spoke, Jason could hear that Merritt was caught up in the middle of a firefight as he loaded the last of his grunts on board. Jason looked over at the short-range radar scan and saw the first blue blip come off the surface, followed half a minute later by the second.
Come on, damn it, move it, move it! Those fighters are kicking afterburners. They'll be here in less than 5.
Get 3 sabers out there and then clear the deck for landing craft recovery.
Jason ordered, trying to keep his voice calm and businesslike. Doomsday slammed down the launch ramp and the crews pushed the second craft into line, sending it out less than 30 seconds later. The rear-sweeping short-range scan, which inspired the kamikaze hit, started to turn red on the outer limit of search. The enemy wave was closing in.
Merritt, move it, damn it.
Jason said softly, stopping to force an outward appearance of calm.
We're shoveling coal into the engines as fast as we can, Tarawa.
C Company lifting off now.
Svetlana called and Jason breathed a sigh of relief. The first landing craft coming off the surface at full throttle came within visual range, afterburner flame rippling behind it. An alarm started to ping on the combat information board, and for a second Jason thought that the incoming pilots were already trying to achieve missile lock, even though they were thousands of kilometers out. And then he saw the threat display, a red box snapping to life on the moon's surface below.
Svetlana, take evasive.
Outbound heat seekers.
Starlight shouted, launching suppressive fire.
Svetlana, shot engines down, blow chaff.
4 missiles streaked up, converging in on the landing craft, which was just within visual range. Jason shouted for the petty officer only to display the jack-up magnification. He felt helpless. As captain of a carrier, he was reduced to simply watching a life and death struggle being played out on the hollow screen. The landing craft turned, a shower of chaff and heat flares blowing out the stern. The first missile closed and detonated half a click astern, the second and third missiles disappearing into the fireball and detonating as well. Jason breathed a sigh of relief and then a fourth missile emerged from out of the explosion. The missile closed.
No!
Jason screamed, grabbing hold of the side as the console as if by sheer force of will he could somehow turn the missile aside. It detonated just astern of the landing craft.
Tarawa? We're hit and going in.
Her voice was strangely detached and calm as her image appeared on the screen. Sickened, Jason watched the landing craft trailing fire starting to spiral back down to the planet's surface. First landing craft hearing airlock door, and he looked up to see Merritt's craft coming in, touching down hard, the sides of the ship fire scorched from the intense battle on the planet's surface. Before the craft had even skidded to a stop, a side hatch opened and Merritt jumped out, running up to the control room, pushing his way in, knocking his helmet on the floor.
Svetlana, try and gain orbit!
Jason shouted.
No joy on that, Tarawa. We're going down. Only one engine still good.
Behind her, he could see the pilot struggling with the controls. The co-pilot of the landing craft slumped in his seat, the back of his head a bloody mess. The ground rushed up and then the image snapped off. They're impacted next to one of the carrier hangars, the combat information officer shouted.
Landing craft Charlie, do you copy?
Jason shouted. Crackling hiss filled the air and then a voice shifted through on the static, the visual image barely discernible.
Tarawa, we're still with you. We've touched down, many casualties on board.
Thank God.
Jason sighed and he looked over at Merritt.
Tarawa, it's time to leave this neighborhood.
Grierson announced coming online.
Do you copy that? The very screen is red with incoming.
Jason felt as if his heart had suddenly gone to ice. He looked at the situation aboard the holo displays and monitors. Tarawa was seriously wounded. She still had 450 aboard, and as the second landing craft came in, more than 100 Marines. On the side monitor, the computer had zeroed in on the crashed landing craft, reading out injuries as reported by the individual Marines' life support systems. 35 of them are still alive, including Svetlana. The Confederation doesn't leave its people behind, not while I'm in command. A voice whispered in his memory. I'll do what it takes to get you back, and he felt as if Tolwyn was standing beside him. Never leave someone behind. The pledge goes both ways. He looked over at Merritt, who stood with a pained expression.
Jason, if you try and pick those people up, we all die.
Jason tried to run a quick calculation to think it through. Intrepid could attempt to land a tricky manoeuvre on the cratered rock surface. She had pulled it off once to pick up 2 companies of Marines and had been scorched by ground fire in the process. It would mean bringing her speed down to 0 and having to climb back out against gravity. She'd be caught coming off the planet, not only by the fighters, but by the capital ships. Send the sabres in, they could cram several people into the rear storage hatch. That'd save 20, maybe. We launch a landing craft and try to hold the fighters off.
Damn it to hell! They knew the risk.
Merritt said quietly.
They knew it when they signed on. And the deal goes both ways. We are going in after them.
Tarawa, do you copy?
We are here. Svetlana, just hang on. We are scrambling the sabres in to pick up half your people. A landing craft is being turned around now for the rest.
There was a pause on the other side.
Nice try, Tarawa, but I don't think so.
Just hang on, Svetlana.
Jason.
And there was pause for a moment.
Listen, Jason, you're running the show. 1,000 people are counting on you to get them out. We're finished. Don't sacrifice yourself to save us. I know what the score is, and so do you. If you hang around now, you're all going to be lost. Get the hell out now.
Shut up, Svetlana. We are coming in.
Colonel Merritt?
Here, Svetlana.
What's the firing code?
Merritt closed his eyes and lowered his head.
Double Alpha. Fox Tango.
He said, his voice low, barely audible.
Double Alpha, Fox, Tango, 3. Copy that.
Svetlana said quietly. Jason looked back at Merritt.
Matter-antimatter mines were rigged. Fire on a 1-hour delay, so we were well clear. They can also be fired manually.
He looked straight into Jason's eyes.
I'm sorry, son, but she's right. God help us all, but she's right.
Jason turned back to the comlink, which was again showing a wave of the image.
Svetlana, don't. Wait. Just wait.
Double Alpha, Fox, Tango, 3. Firing trigger is armed.
Svetlana!
He turned back and looked at the screen.
Jason, honey, save your fleet. Maybe some other time, some other life, we'll see each other again. I've always loved you, Jason. I'll always be with you.
Svetlana, no!
The screen went blank. He looked up at the forward monitor as dozens of white snaps of light mushroomed across the screen. He stood in mute horror, watching as explosions ripped the naval station apart, white-hot walls of fire racing outwards, mushrooming up into the sky. The control room was as quiet as a tomb, except for the steady chatter coming in from other ships, and Doomsday Squadron, which was positioning to cover the Terror from the rear. And that, I think, is quite enough of that. Unfortunately, we're also at the end of the mission, so thanks for watching. I've been Alanin, End Run was written by William R. Forstron, Ennis Middle was Svetlana Ivanova, Edith the Hutt was Captain Grierson, and Requiem was both Colonel Merritt and Jason Bondarevsky, doing a bad American and bad Russian accent respectively. This has been Wing Commander 3 Heart of the Tiger, and join me next time where you can't really fly a Hellcat because we're blowing a planet up.